Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are celebrating Effingham. This is Effingham. This is our story.
It's going to be a fun night of television, and right here on WEIU, we are happy to be here. We have a whole phone bank full of Effingham people, and we have a special living room you're going to see in just a few minutes of extra people over there that have decided to take a break from the telephone lines and just to hang out and have a good time tonight.
That's right. We're having so much fun here live in the WEIU studio. We're broadcasting live on channels, if you're in Effingham, Mediacom and Consolidated Channel 6, Satellite 51, and over-the-air 51. But for those of you who may be out of the broadcast viewing area, be sure to tune in online at weiu.net. We are streaming live. And also, we want to talk to you tonight via Twitter. So be sure to hashtag OurStoryEffingham and give us your thoughts on the program. Maybe ask some questions, become a member. We can do lots of different things tonight. You're going to have lots of opportunities to hear great stories this evening.
So stay tuned. Are we coming up next?
We are. We're coming up next to Effingham. This is our story. Stay tuned and enjoy the show.
Funding for Effingham, This Is Our Story is made possible in part by Heartland Dental, with a home office based in Effingham, Illinois, has over 400 team members, many of whom are Effingham area residents. Founded by Dr. Rick Workman, Heartland Dental has affiliated offices in 26 states. Heartland Dental supports many local organizations and is proud to be a supporter of Effingham, This Is Our Story. Grunlow Construction, saluting all of the storytellers and volunteers involved in Effingham, This Is Our Story. Grunlow Construction, based in Effingham, supporting Effingham. Serving Corvette and classic Volkswagen enthusiasts around the world, Mid-America Motor Works is family-owned and operated, recognized as an entertainment destination and based in Effingham. We're pleased to be a part of Effingham, This Is Our Story. More information available at mamotorworks.com. Dr. Ruben Boyajian, a strong supporter of the Effingham community and involved in several local projects aimed at improving the quality of life for residents in the Effingham area. Midland States Bank. Everything we do has relationship implications with each other, customers, and vendors. We are honored to be a part of Effingham, This Is Our Story.
My son had some friends come back from Iraq, and they had some signs over on right there by the courthouse, and it was for the Vietnam and the Southeast Asia wars, and they wanted to know how we could get stone up. Well, I went on the executive board for the American Legion, so that evening I went and I asked them, and they said, "You're in charge." So I got a committee together. There's 3 men from the American Legion, the VFW, and the DAV, and we just put it together.
People of Effingham County also believe in the freedom of our country. They are willing to fight for their country, as so indicated by the inscriptions that we have on this memorial. Some of those people, some of the veterans paid the ultimate price. Others were luckier.
There's 8 stones out there. There's over 4,000 names on them stones. It's all Effingham County veterans from the Revolutionary War to today.
It recognizes all the veterans in the past, and it'll also recognize the ones in the future as we put them on.
When we first started, we had a lot of trouble getting stone because of the size of it and to keep it the same color. First 2 got here, and then they stopped port. They just closed the port down on those ships. So between our supplier and Pyramid Marble, they had talked to the Indian government and had it transferred to another port, and then it come through the Black Sea, through the Mediterranean and the Atlantic to New Jersey, to Chicago to Effingham is how it came. And we finally got the other 6 that way, but it was a struggle.
I can remember when we had a memorial here that had one cart plywood board with names on it. And it came a long way, and it's all due to the committee.
Now we have them up. It took a lot of time getting them etched. There was all that etching. That was a lot more than I ever thought it would be. You got to pick every name out and all that, you know.
This is a place for me to come and just meditate, to read some of my buddies' names, some of the old timers I knew.
This memorial serves to pay tribute to those folks that have served, and they deserve any accolades that they can receive.
And they had to build special jig to pick it up, and the guys over at Higgs did a real good job at designing that. And Tony Esker had a volunteer crew, and I don't know, there must have been about 20 of us up there that day. And
see somebody up here just about every night. Somebody different, always checking out the names. And hardly ever is there a dry eye. We come up here and help out for the different festivals, provide a registry, help people find names. And it's amazing how many people just come up and thank us and ask how they can help. And all we say is, you're welcome.
Turned out really well. It really did. And for the size of the memorial that we did, it's just, I think it's just beautiful myself. A lot of people really think it is. And every day you see someone over there. Every day there's someone over there. And it's touching. Either they're etching their name off, or they're taking a picture, or whatever it is. It means a lot to them, and that's what it's all about.
And I am proud to have my name inscribed on one of these pillars.
My father trained me to bag groceries when I was 9, so he doubled the apron up on me and tied that up because it would drag the floor otherwise. And so I started bagging groceries until probably not until I was 12 years old. The lady that taught me how to bag groceries still shops with us. And God love her, she was wonderful, and she taught me how to bag groceries. I can remember Dad telling the meat cutters, don't let my son on the saw. Until one Friday night, he came back and seen me cutting pork chops on the saw, and from then on, I kept running the saw, and I still got all my fingers. And I always knew I would be in the business. I loved it. It was part of me, and I can't imagine not being in it, really. In '47, he had the opportunity to buy a corner piece of property where we're presently at now, which is where our parking lot is. And so in 1947, he moved over there. Well, that time I was 7 years old. And I can remember pushing grocery carts across the railroad to the other side of the railroad. And then he had an opportunity to buy animated animals. And still people will come in the store that's old enough to remember the animated animals that you would see like in a zoo, and he'd bought them off of some carnival, I think, or something or other, and put them in there. So he was well known as the grocery store with the animals. And that was a fun time. And in the 40s and early 50s. In 1952, he seen fit to join IGA, which is Independent Grocers Alliance. And we've been IGA since 1952. That was really a good boost for him. It was good for the community. I can remember Dad coming home right around 1962. And he says, we're going to build a new store. He had bought some ground behind it, and he built a store, I think, around 28,000 square feet. 10 years later, he tore that store down. And that kind of shocked us too, and that was in the mid-70s. And tore that store down and went over and built another store, which is the present center part of the store we're in now. Effingham's a good place to raise a family, and it's home to me. And I can't imagine not getting up one morning and not seeing people and friends going to the store that I get to visit with and have known all my life, and we've grown up together. One thing I'm really proud of is, and I'm proud of our people, we've been fortunate enough, but Effingham has a good working community. The work ethics are good here in the Effingham County area, and we've been fortunate enough to enjoy that. The longest employee that's worked for us, and I'll mention his name, Bob Bruder's still living, and he started to work for Dad when he was 14 and I was 4, and we grew up as brothers, you might say. We treated each other like brothers anyway, and he worked for us for 64 years, had a good relationship, and he never worked for anybody else except our company. It's pretty common. Most of our full-time employees has been with us from 15 to 45 years. And we treat each other a lot of times just like brothers and sisters because we know each other that well. Has it had its challenges? All businesses do. But you learn to survive, especially when you got good people around you and a community that supports you. And the community's been good to us. I intend to be, our whole philosophy has been to be good to the community, and because it's good to us. And I appreciate that, and it's just been a good trip.
The National Road is the very first federal highway in the whole United States, set the precedence for the way we travel. The traffic went on the right side of the road, the faster traffic went on the left side of the road. That's the whole reason we have that now in the United States. It started in Maryland. They call it the Cumberland Road, but it was called the National Road. It came right through Effingham. Effingham was established because of that. And if you travel the road, there are little towns about every 6 miles apart because that's about how far a person could travel, Conestoga wagon in a day. So a good day was 12 miles, a slow day was 6 miles. That's why the little towns are about every 6 miles apart. It's like the stepping stone that opened up the door for Effingham. National Road parallels Route 40. Part of it is Route 40 today. Also parallels Interstate 70. The railroad tracks go right along it. So just because we had the National Road here, it opened up a venue for railroad tracks to come, or railroads to come through it. It opened up the venue for new roads to be made. And of course, that's gonna bring people. The prairie grasses were very tall. Some of them were so tall that a man on horseback could be hidden in the prairie grasses, and they used to tie a rope around their waist when they were at their wagon. If they had to use the necessary, they tied a rope around their waist so they could walk into the grass and they could find their way back. It would have been, there was trees all along the way. That's one of the reasons they settled here as opposed to up by Champaign. In Champaign, the area was just all grasses, and it didn't grow a tree, and they thought if it didn't grow a tree, it's not good for crops. And they were afraid of the black soil, so people settled here where the soil is, now we know it's this clay soil, but they thought it would grow crops here. The road itself was about 60 feet wide. When they would come to a low place in the road, they would fell trees, and they would make these big logs, and they would put them side by side by side, so they called it a corrugated road.
It is nice to rest. Woo. That seat on that wagon is so rough. When we signed on and we started on this journey, I never knew why they called this a spanker. I understand it now. This corrugated road where they've taken big logs and they've just put them down and the wagons go across. Oh my goodness, I'm stiff and I'm sore.
So this was still pretty much prairie land, and so people stopped. They had gone through T-Town, or Teotopolis, and T-Town was a pretty much German community. And they thought, well, if they can settle here, we can settle. So it kind of is that way. Good trees here. There was some water. You know, you had the Wabash River, and they had just crossed the Imbra River. They called it the Embarrass River, not the Imbra. And so they were between two rivers. But our national road, it had traffic for a very long time. And in fact, I think it's never really been, we don't call it the national road anymore, but we've got Route 40 that came along when automobiles came along, and then when the interstates came through in the early 70s, or 65 is when interstates came through Effingham, they parallel the national road. So I don't know that it was really replaced, and I don't know that it ever finished. I think it's one of those things that goes on and on and on. It's not called the national road anymore. But it was the precedence. It set precedence for all highways in the United States.
And what we do is we fly antique RC-controlled airplanes. The rules for SAM is anything that's for competition is anything designed before 1942. So we just have a great time out there. Now we fly, and we're also a member of the Effingham Sport Flyers, but there's a group of us, a smaller group that flies the old birds. And I guess how I got into it was a lot of people these days are flying real fast planes, and I enjoy that too, and they're doing 3D things and making planes hover and do rolls and loops. But you know, I was kind of like, I'm gonna fly it up really high and really slow and just see how long I can glide around. So it's kind of a slower speed thing that was suited for my skills, and we just had a great time, and I was always doing that. And then I discovered this society existed, and I was like, that's perfect for me. So I signed up and applied to get a chapter here in Effingham, and so we did. The field is actually located at the Shumway International Airport. It's the best field I've ever flown at. There's no obstructions, it's wide open. Stephen is relatively new at this, and he built he's had some what they call ARFs, or almost ready to fly, newer planes, but it's his Viking. It was from 1940 when that was designed, and he was one of his early landings was kind of ugly, so I thought it'd be fun to Seb coming in, and where he didn't come in exactly straight, kind of roll it. There was no damage, it wasn't broken. They're sometimes look worse than what they are, but it was an ugly landing, and I thought I'd love to share that with everybody so I can tease him forever about that.
So we have these contests where we take these little electric gliders and fly them up in the air, and then after 30 seconds you have to cut the motor, and we try to see who can stay up in the air the longest. And if you win, you get a box of trophies, which I am the current holder of, and you can be challenged anytime by anyone at all, just as long as you have the glider ready.
I got into this hobby because my dad, he was doing this hobby when he was my son's age. And so but people ask me when I got into it, and I said, well, I was born into it, I didn't have a choice, you know, and I was just fascinated, and I love it. It's great, and I so much love the fact that I'm passing it on to my son. It's about the building, it's about the flying, it's about patience, it's about understanding, you know, construction, learning about, you know, basic aviation and all that. But it's just a wonderful, and you know, there's nothing really that makes you feel better than having that perfect landing on a perfect day.
I was at the museum when it opened, and we stood in line before we got inside to get our tickets to walk around in the museum. So after I got them, they said it starts on the outside. I went outside and there was all these flags sticking up. Do not touch. It's like a sign says wet paint. I gosh, it is wet, ain't it? Well, that's what I did. I touched, and our flag wasn't there. So I go in and talk to the curator and says, the flag's out there, but our patch is not. I said, well, we don't have anything to do with that. That's the Department of the Army. And I wore my uniform, and I was the only one that wore my uniform during the 65th anniversary of the Holocaust. I was the only one with the uniform, and there was represented 20-some divisions. I got a list in a book of all the divisions that were there. But I was the only one, so I stood out like a sore thumb, you know. I invited me, see. And I was sitting right here in this chair, right in that one, and I got a phone call from the museum, and I talked to them, and I said, yeah, I'm coming. Are you wearing a uniform? Yeah. I said, well, you have your uniform cleaned and pressed. You know you're going to get a medal from President Clinton. I said, no, I didn't know it. Yeah. So I thanked him and hung up and picked up my phone book here, and I looked up Holocaust Museum. I called him right back. They said, oh, Eldon, we just talked to you. I said, that's what I wanted to know. I thought somebody was pulling my leg. Well, you would think so, too. That medal is for liberating concentration camps. I represent every liberator, so everybody in the division is considered a liberator if their division liberated, you see. So that meant in the division, a couple thousand or more could have done what I did, several thousand. But I was chosen because I could wear my uniform and the girls had got acquainted with me. That's why I was chosen. Not for nothing that I did, no. I just did what thousands did. They gave us a sack lunch when they went to this big building. When I stepped off the stage with my sack lunch, I saw a sign on top of the table. So it was the name of, I don't know what it was. Anyway, I was looking around, this lady says, what are you looking for? I says, I'm looking for the names on the tables of the prison camps. Says, which one did you liberate? I said, Salzwedel. She grabbed me like that and starts crying. And my grandson over there says, Aunt Karen, Grandpa's making that lady cry. So here come Karen. And the lady was saying, you're the reason I'm here and just carrying on something terrible. Hell, I didn't realize it. She'd been looking all these years for somebody from the 84th Division that she knew who liberated the concentration camp, the Salzwedel. It was all women. And they were, most of them, Jewish women from the eastern there, you know. And they had a lot of the little girls in this camp too, and they all wearing the yellow Star of David on their back. And heck, I couldn't understand why, you know. But I wasn't in that camp either. You'd have to be there to understand how them people feel about it, you know. So one of the editors of the paper, the T-Town paper, he saw it in the paper, so he called up the woman, got her, and said, yeah, she was coming out, you know, later. So he knew she was coming to see me. So her and her husband stopped to see me, and he was out here when they stopped, you know. And then she wrote me that letter, you know. I put that letter's in there that she wrote me. And she was there right at that table right there. The lady come, they stopped. Oh, yeah. I said, well, hell, I had nothing to do with that. I said, you took her to the hospital. I said, I didn't take her. I was the first wave. Yeah. Some guy was carrying the American, so I carried the Irish flag the first time. So I told him I could come back next year to carry the flag. So being as I could wear my uniform, that added to the parade for that. So that's why I get to go carry the flag, because I wear my uniform and I go back every year. I'm going back this year. Well, I think it's a pretty good honor, yeah.
Wow, some great stories this evening. Eldon, Ooton, you really touched my heart. I really hope you're watching tonight. It was a pleasure to get to know you. It was a pleasure to come to your house and interview you and get to know all the different things that you do, along with all the other storytellers that we are celebrating tonight. This is Effingham. This is our story. We're live with a number of different Effingham residents. As you can see behind us, we also have a few on the other side of the studio, which is our living room that we have here tonight. We are enjoying the program here at Effingham. This is our story. That's Lori Casey, our production manager, with a few of our Effingham storytellers, and we're just having a great time here. We hope that you are too. If you would like to join us in a conversation tonight, you can tweet us at #OurStoryEffingham. If you want to give us a call, you can call us at the number at the bottom of your screen, and we would like to talk to you and see what you think about the program. And if you want to contribute tonight, you're saying thank you to the Effingham residents for being a part of this story, and by doing that, you'll be able to receive a thank you gift, and it's a copy of tonight's program.
You know, people ask us why we did a program on Effingham, and the cool part about that is PBS stations have been doing this for years all over the country, and this was our first opportunity. And somebody said, why Effingham? And we were like, well, we wanted to go to a city that did not have a television station. We want to be your station. So with doing this project with the people of Effingham, we were so impressed with you guys, and we are so proud that WEIU could be your PBS station and put together these stories of storytellers. I want to throw it back over to Lori.
Thanks, Jana. I'm here with just a few of the storytellers who helped us out in the program. Whoops, I have Maxine Dane, Linda Ruhal, and Glenn Bauer, who helped us out so much. And you guys were the ones that said these were the ideas that we wanted to contribute to this program. And I want to ask Maxine, your story's coming up a little bit later. You talked about the Dane letters. Why did you pick that story to tell?
Well, I thought that such a long time has gone by since the fire, the hospital fire in 1949, that a lot of people in Effingham don't know that there were heroes besides those who ran in to rescue people. And these were the men who gave up their time and jobs to get $5 million, which at that time was a lot of money, and frankly, it was an almost impossible job because Effingham was only 6,900 people. So I just decided to go ahead and let people know.
Well, and you're going to hear more about Maxine's story, and Linda Ruhal's story is also related to the fire. We're going to talk to her in just a little bit, but right now I'm going to send it back over to Kian.
Well, we have the phones ringing right now, but we have a few that are still open, so you can give us a call at the number at the bottom of your screen tonight and say thank you so much to the Effingham residents who have provided the video. You may not have known that, but your Effingham residents have become the videographers for this program tonight, and the photographers. They submitted the video, they shot it themselves, they took the photographs, they researched and found the photographs. So we didn't go out and put all of these stories together. The storytellers who volunteered from Effingham became the videographers for this program tonight. So you don't want to miss out on an opportunity to get one of these DVDs so you can have your very own copy. You can call the number at the bottom of your screen, give us a call right now, contribute the money, and say thank you so much for documenting the great history, what is happening today, and what may be happening tomorrow in the great town of Effingham. Jana, back to you.
Thank you, Kian. Our phone lines are busy, and that gets us excited here in the studio to know that this project, our story, is really important to Effingham viewers. So thank you for calling if you're one of those that are on the phone right now. But I would encourage you to call other people, call your friends, call your neighbors. Let people know that WEIU is doing a program tonight on Effingham. We're excited to bring you this program, and we know that you're probably enjoying as well. The phones are ringing again. We really appreciate that. So the other phone's ringing too. For a $75 gift to WEIU, we want to give you a gift of this program. It's a 2-hour program from storytellers from all over Effingham. There are 30 stories in it, plus bonus material too. By you calling and showing your support tonight, that's telling us that you believe in WEIU and that we are your PBS station. I'm going to throw it over to Lori.
All right, thanks, Jana. We saw a story about Eldon Ooton. That was the last one. And we had a chance to visit with Eldon, and I said, Eldon, why did you keep your uniform all these years? And you guys might be familiar with a story like this. He said, Lori, when you date a woman, when I dated, I think her name was Bernice, that was his wife. This is in the late 30s. If you were sweet on a girl, you gave her a hope chest. Did you get a hope chest? Well, apparently you got a hope chest. And he said when he came back from World War II, he put the uniform in there, and that's what saved it all these years. He said, had I not had that, it probably would have been tossed away. So he's very, in the story, because I wore my uniform, that's why he got to walk in the parade. But it all kind of comes back to that hope chest. I thought that was such a neat story. So your husband did not give you a hope chest?
No.
We've got a great evening of stories here tonight. We hope you're watching and enjoying and learning new things about Effingham. Maybe you're a lifelong resident like a lot of the people in the room tonight. Maybe you're new to the community. We hope you're enjoying the program. Give our operators a call right now. We'd love to hear from you. Back to you, ladies.
Well, our phone operators are busy, but you know what? We are very happy about that because that means you are enjoying that program. You want a copy of your very own, and you want to say thank you to the Effingham residents for doing this great service to the town of Effingham. I mean, what a better service than to have your own people telling your own story, and it's coming right straight from your town. We have a number of operators right back here behind me. There are a couple right back here that still can answer the telephone. So give us a call at the number at the bottom of your screen. You can go online at weiu.net and donate online and contribute and get a copy of the DVD if you like that way as well. And for those of you who may not know, we want to let you know, get in touch with all of those friends and family outside of the viewing area and tell them, hey, you can log on to weiu.net and watch online tonight. We are streaming online, so we're streaming all over the world. Everyone is learning about Effingham tonight, and what a wonderful town to learn about. Jana, over to you.
Thanks, Kian. The phone lines are busy, but right now we need some more being busy. We got Paul and Amy back there, and they are waiting for the phone to ring, so we're excited about that. I'd like to thank Virginia Stamborg. She called, and I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you, Virginia, for believing in WEIU and believing in Effingham and the project that you're watching tonight. We had so many people that came to the premiere that were in the story who loved it, and so we want you to know that we love being a part of it, and we want you to be a part of our story. So if you can give us a call right now, we'd really appreciate it. I'm going to throw it back over to Lori. What's going on over there?
Well, we're just hanging out here in what I kind of call Grandma's living room. We stopped over at our theater department here at Eastern, and they gave us all these neat things. Lots of great things that sort of bring back some memories. And some of the shows that the stories we're seeing tonight, I think, are going to bring back memories for people. We'll be talking about the Hodebecke Millinery Store. We've got two stories that Linda and Maxine did about the Effingham Fire, and Glenn is going to talk about his church, which is the oldest continuously operating church in Effingham County. That is correct. All right, and you're going to hear more about Centenary United Methodist Church, as well as a great story about how the Effingham County Courthouse was saved. And you see some people over on the other set who have red shirts on. They're part of the courthouse. I've got a gentleman who's off to my right here who snuck away from me. It's a great story about the community coming together and saying we want to save our courthouse. So great stories coming up, but we're taking just this break to get you to go to the phone and become a member of WEIU. Back to you, ladies.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you are just now tuning in, you're watching Effingham. This is our story. We're celebrating live at WEIU studio tonight. This is all about Effingham. We have Effingham residents answering the phones.
There's some of them Donaldson.
Some of them have been storytellers. There's Leola Baker, and we have Paul Simple from Effingham Daily News over here. So lots of great storytellers from the town of Effingham tonight. If you are interested in having a copy of tonight's program, you can call us right now at the number at the bottom of your screen and contribute that donation and receive a copy of this program. And you know what? Some of the great programs that we have seen, some of the great stories that we have seen have included the Effingham County Veterans Memorial so far, and that has been a great community service. Newland Martin, if you didn't know him, or if you do know him, he's on there.
I know him because we eat their donuts.
Oh, they're so good.
We've gone down to Effingham and we've eaten those donuts.
And you know what? Let me tell you about Rich Jorn and his son Jackson. They did a story on Effingham Slow Flyers, and if you're in that club, you should call and say, hey, thanks for doing that story, because they're promoting that club in the town of Effingham tonight. And then Eldon Ooton, what a sweetheart, and lots of different types of things that we can celebrate about Ooton. And Patty Wynn, she is an amazing person, and she's so funny
She's
to
a
get
hoot.
to know.
She's
She
a hoot.
is. And do you know she's a reenactor, and she tells stories from, I think it's over 70 storytellers. But you know what? We have great programs coming up tonight. Before we get back to the show, we want to say thank you, and then we'll give you a little preview of another story coming up.
Okay, I'd like to give a shout out to Jane Reese. Thank you so much, Jane, for supporting this program. I'd like to thank Terry Irvin. Thank you so much for calling. And Gary Reed, I believe her son Tyson was one of our storytellers.
It was.
And Tyson did a great job, and we are looking forward to seeing Tyson coming up. He'll be on a little bit, so
he will.
Get people excited.
We've got some great stories coming up, and right now, the next story you're going to hear is about the Effingham County Courthouse restoration with our own Delane Donaldson, who is right here answering your phone.
Call
so
us
stay
now.
tuned and enjoy the program.
When we looked at the fact that a lot of people were wanting to tear down the courthouse after we'd built a new courts building, a public meeting was held on a Sunday afternoon in March of 2009. Pressure was there because a lot of people thought we should level it. And so when at this public meeting, a number of people gathered, 300 of us all together. I don't know how many people there were opposed to the building. There may have been some. But when I led off the speakers that day, and speaker after speaker after speaker, I think there were 22 or 24 altogether who spoke in favor of saving the courthouse. That was the birth of the movement to create a museum. When we got the opportunity to go into the building and begin working, that was as a consequence of an agreement with the county that we signed in 2010. They gave us a lease on the building for 25 years. And so what we saw as we went into the building was that there were a lot of physical needs. The building had been vacated by the county in 2007. We were coming in now in 2010 to do the work. Now the building is structurally sound. We had the Historical Preservation Agency come down and look at the building. They said, building is superb. No problem structurally with the building. It's just the fact that the interior needed to be brightened up. So we had a local paint company that offered to donate paint to us toward that end. And our volunteers came in day after day after day after day, and we painted the downstairs area, the first floor, where we could set up a museum and give people access to the building. From the very start, one of the things we wanted to do was honor our veterans. And so we have a lot of military material on the first floor. Second floor will consist of different kinds of things from that. But the emphasis is very strongly in terms of a spirit of patriotism that I think would also be part of the spirit of this area. So we have a lot of displays regarding that, but we have focused upon telling stories of important personalities. Ada Kepley, the very first woman ever to receive a law degree, we tell her story there. We tell the story of other people who have gained national attention. We have in our HO train layout room depictions of life here in the county from the native tribes up through more recent times. Okay, so the second floor will be, I think, just a real showcase when we're able to get that all developed. We're in the process of moving toward that end, and we'll in the future then have that available to people for different kinds of activities, wedding receptions, things of that sort. But our plans are to make sure that the people are taken back into the past. They can see what really made the county proud in the past. They can look at the beautiful ceiling that we uncovered. That is a tin ceiling, needs a little bit of work to it. We also have a dome in that ceiling that was there from the very start, and we have a local physician, surgeon, man of all trades, kind of a Renaissance man here within our community who just has so many talents, and he has offered to paint that with scenes from Effingham County history. The reason why I became involved in all of this was the fact that I really want to preserve the history, and I want the people to recognize what a rich heritage there is here.
Hi, my name is Pat Bauer. I'm the President and Chief Operating Officer of Heartland Dental. Heartland was started in Effingham, Illinois by Dr. Rick Workman, a local person who loves Effingham. We couldn't be happier that we started our company here, we've existed here, and we have skyrocketed to national fame because of the people of Effingham.
When I graduated from dental school in 1980, it wasn't great economic times at that time particularly. And so as much as I really didn't have necessarily the confidence to start my own practice, I did in fact rent a building over on 401 North Mulberry for $300 or $325 a month, bought some equipment and set up a practice. The work ethic that I didn't know I had, some would still say they were surprised by that, but I started the idea, not the idea, but just the reality of working 80 hours a week. About 50 hours a week seeing patients, and about another 30 hours a week trying to figure out the things that I needed to know yesterday. When I started my practice, I had no idea this would ever happen, let's be very clear. So it was Rick Workman, DMD, general dentist. And then I think in '92, so that's 12 short years later, we called it Workman Management Group, was formed. In '97, we actually sold the company to an insurance company at that time, and there were 4 or 5 locations left over that they were brand new and they weren't profitable, and so it was a publicly traded company, didn't want those at that point. And that was in a corporation called Heartland Dental Care. Effingham is very unique in that it's highly entrepreneurial. I recognized that early when I got here in 1980. I just ran into a lot of people that just had, it was like, well, why wouldn't you start your own business? Why wouldn't you expand your own business? Why wouldn't you grow your business to the size that it could grow to? And that's not like it. That's not how it is in a lot of places. Heartland Dental is a dental support organization. We don't practice dentistry. We support dentists and dental offices that do. And so while they can be in charge of the process, they hire Heartland to do all this other non-clinical stuff that's it's essential, it has to get done by somebody, while you can practice dentistry, and then you can simply say, yes, I approve that, yes, let's do that, why wouldn't we do that, that's good, no, I don't think I want to do that, I need to know more about that, oh, okay, yeah, then in that case, I'll do it. My point is, that's what Heartland Dental Care does. I don't do what we do today because I didn't like being a dentist. I love being a dentist. I loved working, seeing the people come back and working directly with the team, and it's exciting to do when you have a situation that you can fix and you go, that's really very satisfying. You know, I recognized that I've been very blessed. I know a lot of folks who work very, very hard and take on ventures that may or may not work out. We're just lucky, Heartland's lucky that we're in a sector that apparently needed this, because we're not the only ones who do this now. Others do it and they're very successful also. I think I'd maybe like to say that I'm particularly blessed to have been raised, I didn't recognize at the time, but to be raised on a farm in Clay County and learn those values and learn them from my parents and my grandparents. And you know, I'm grateful for so many things in life.
At that time, there was no truck stops between St. Louis and Indianapolis. In 1960, Jim McDaniel, which is the guy that put this together, he was selling school buses over in Indiana and Ohio and Pennsylvania in his summer job, which he was running a bus routes other than that. And he come on to several truck stops, which wasn't very common in this area. And he was very attracted to him. So he came back to Effingham, and he was a pilot also. And he flew over Effingham one time and saw the interstate being put together with two interstates coming together here at Effingham. And he said, that's where I want to put my truck stop. So he went to Pure Oil and convinced them to build a truck stop there here in Effingham. And he surveyed these quite a bit and found that there's only 5 like this in the United States. And that's the reason why he wanted to put his truck stop there. I come into the picture before it was built, completely built. They had started. And I went to work for Mr. McDaniel in 1964. And I was with him 47 and a half years when I retired. They offered fuel for the trucks, tire and mechanical, and then we had a 114-seat restaurant, and then we had a lube bay in the back which worked on trucks. And that was pretty much the extent of what we did at that time. It was quite busy, with that being the only truck stop in this area. And we run like 24/7, 3 shifts, 6 to 2, 2 to 10, and 10 to 6, and 7 days a week. We just feel like we were the first ones in here, and the trucking industry here in Effingham is great, and it's probably progressed Effingham more than any other phase of the business. If you go out here at night to these 5-6 truck stops, you'll find hundreds of trucks stacked on top of each other, and it's just amazing how much tax money comes into Effingham through the trucking business. It's progressed Effingham quite a bit. Since we started the first one here in Effingham, that we're probably responsible for most of the trucks that come through here, and we feel real proud that we were a part of that and was able to do that. And we know that the trucks would eventually have found Effingham anyhow, but to know that we started the thing is quite rewarding.
Effingham Rotary is a group of business people and community members. We have 2 clubs in Effingham. We get together once a week and have a meal together and just enjoy each other's company. But then we do our service projects.
I think the satisfaction of helping the community and the work together. I've met so many new business people that I never have met before, and working alongside them, that we all have this common goal to help the community.
It is good for Effingham. It's good for every community where it's at. I found that people in the Rotary are people who are community-minded, people of high moral values and good character, and it's just proud to be a part of that, to be a part of that network, and for what they can do, not only individually, but as a group we can do more.
Having volunteers who are willing to donate their time, donate their talents, donate their financial resources to build things for our community is just, I mean, there's just example after example for the history of Effingham, how volunteers have really made this community what it is.
It not only gives us an opportunity to serve, but develops friendship, fellowship among all the members, and we're proud that we invite a lot of guests.
We meet once a week, every Tuesday morning, and it starts my day off with a sense of community, knowing that we are making a difference in our community.
I think my favorite one is probably the assisted living facility. That's the one we meet Memorial Day and Christmas Day, the Tuesday before. Gives us the chance to meet them. I think if I was in their position, I'd want to be visited. So we get to do that.
I think it's more the individual people, the love that they have for the community and Rotary, and the enthusiasm that Rotarians exude towards the community of Effingham.
If you look at both the Noon Club and the Sunrise Club, we have a wide range of people that come from a wide range of businesses, and all of them are working towards the same goals, whether it be local, state, national, or international. They're all working for the same goal.
Our major project for the past 20 years has been to work to eradicate polio. We have assembled and collected over $250 million as an organization. We have 1.2 million members, and that, along with the Bill and Melinda Gates Fund, has helped fund the effort that has made a tremendous difference in almost eliminating polio, and we're very close. So I'm very excited about that.
It's just really exciting to be a Rotarian and to get to know the movers and shakers in Effingham and to find out how big hearts these people have. They're there to help people. They give their time, their talent, their energy to try to make Effingham and the world a better place to be.
Well, my mom always was a strong person. And I was only 10 when Dad left, and we knew he was gone, but it didn't really seem so bad to us. So I am very proud of my mother for raising us 6 girls. She only had 6 when Daddy was gone, but he got drafted at age 37. Had 6 daughters and a wife, sole support, and a grocery store. Our home and store was just south along the National Road, south of the National Road. And then you go a block and there's the Pennsylvania Railroad, and that was our backyard. Well, we had this large garden. And the Pennsylvania Railroad was main thoroughfare for transporting troops. While we worked in the garden, we could wave at the soldiers, and they would wave at us. We all still remember. Mom wrote him a letter every night. She sat on her box in the hall window. We lived in this apartment, 4-room apartment, on top of the store, and it was an old building. My great-grandfather had built this store, and it had wide window ledges. And in the hallway, on the window is where she kept her stationery box. She wrote him a letter every night, and she got one back most every day. Some days Daddy didn't have time to write a letter. But I'd like to tell you about when they had a fund drive to raise money for the war. This was federal government. They were selling bonds, and Mom bought a bond. So we all got free tickets to go to the Hart Theater at night. I don't remember the name of the movie, but it was, Van Johnson was the main actor. Mom wasn't too pleased that this is the movie she took her kids to. We didn't really know the difference. We got to go to the movie theater. You know, that was a big deal. When my dad got home from the service, he got discharged at Fort Sheridan. And he got a Greyhound bus someplace in Chicago somehow or the other, and he came south on Route 45. That was long before the interstates. He knew where my mom's sister and her husband had a tavern, and so when they got near on the north edge of Effingham, it was the Orchard Inn. He spied my uncle's car in the parking lot, so he asked the driver to leave him off, and he got off and he went into the tavern and he told his brother-in-law, my uncle Lawrence, Uncle Big Jack Jansen, take me home. So we girls were all outside playing this one Saturday afternoon on September 29th, and Uncle Jack's car pulled up in the driveway. What on earth is he doing here? Out pops our dad, and Uncle Jack never ever came into the house. You know, he did his duty.
So what was that homecoming like for you guys to see your dad again?
Oh my. I can't. It was great.
Yeah, welcome back. My name is Keanne, this is Jana, and we are live at WEIU with some great people from Effingham, and we have had some wonderful stories. What a wonderful, touching story that was from Marion Burford, and Marion is here tonight in our control room. We are celebrating Effingham and the stories from Effingham, and you can give us a call right now at the number at the bottom of your screen, and you can say thank you to all of these storytellers and get a great copy of that DVD.
It's a great program, and it'd be nice for you to have it in your home to share with your family. Maybe you want to send it to one of your children who's moved away or whatever. But either way, you can get it at $75.
You can get a DVD copy for $75. Call right now. The phones are quiet right now. They were ringing off the hook just a minute ago. But you know what? We have some great people right here behind us waiting to take your call. You can call right now and get a wonderful copy of that DVD. We have some people to thank
We have
tonight.
a lot of people to thank.
We have Judy Hilsbush, and we also have Alan Harris. So thank you so much, Judy and Alan, for calling in tonight. We really appreciate your phone call.
I'd also like to thank Dorothy Retzel. Thank you so much, Dorothy. We appreciate you calling. And Howard Hake and Marlene Walker. If we're mispronouncing your name, just call us back and let us know we're saying it wrong. But we really do appreciate you calling. And Frank Kebabs? Cavis, thank you. See,
There's
I told
a
you
phone
they'd
ringing
know.
right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling in. Right now, we want to get the phones going again because when you call, that tells us you like the program and that you want to support your local PBS station, which we hope is WEIU.
That's right. And one of the stories we just heard from was Delane Donaldson. He's right back here waiting to take your call. And we also heard from Dr. Rick Workman and Pat Bauer. Wonderful things that they're doing in Effingham. The 76 truck stop.
Oh,
Leonard
my
Greenwood is in here in the studios this evening. And that photo of the trucks at the truck stop.
The guy with the cowboy hat that's in the phone bank or on the phone. Yeah.
Great stories. And we're going to go on and on about these stories tonight because it's those stories that have touched our hearts. We hope they're touching yours. And we've got some storytellers that we want to share with you this evening, and they're in our living room studio right here with Lori Casey.
All right, thank you. I just want to, we're tweeting tonight and on Facebook, and Katie Coster tweeted and said, this special includes a story about my grandpa. We're not sure which one, but we think that's great. I'm over here with Linda, Maxine, and Glenn, and I had said to Linda, do you all know each other? And she says, well, kind of, but tell me about you are a classmate of the 7th daughter in the Hodebecke family. That's how it's
Lucile Hodebecke, Lucile Hodebecke, her children, the youngest one was Mary Jane Hodebecke. She's now Mary Jane Totone, and she is a member of the class that I graduated from T-Town in 1964. So, it's a small world.
It certainly is. We love doing that story on Marion and how her family survived during World War II in some difficult circumstances. Tell us a little bit about why you chose the story you did about Nurse Shirley Clements and her role in the Effingham St. Anthony's fire.
Okay, well, I'm kind of a serial career person. I started out as a nurse. I transitioned into education, and my retirement career is as a historian. And I am of the opinion that history has to have a purpose. It's nice to talk about stories, but you want to know why they're important. And with this particular story about Nurse Shirley Clements, her death has meaning to us today because there are far-reaching effects. Hospital safety and indeed public safety in general improved a great deal because of she and a bunch of other people died.
So we're going to hear more about that story coming up in our next segment, which also includes a great story about the building of the truck trail. And speaking of Hodebeckes, there's a lot of Hodebeckes in Effingham County. We're going to hear about a great story about 7 sisters and the Hodebecke millinery story told by Mary Ellen Eversman. That's coming up in just a little bit. Let's send it back over to Keanne and Jana.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about that story. Shirley Clements, what a hero from Effingham. It's stories like that that document the history of Effingham, and you won't want to miss out on getting a copy of this DVD. So you need to give us a call right now at the number at the bottom of your screen and talk to one of these great people from Effingham behind us. You see that the phones are busy, but we do have phones open, and you can log on to WEIU.net and receive your copy of the DVD online as well. So be sure to give us a call right now. You can also converse with us via Twitter at #OurStoryEffingham. We would love to hear your thoughts on the program. And you can also call in and tell the storytellers behind us what you think of the program while you're asking for a copy of the DVD. So I'm going to turn it over to Jana. She has a few more people to thank.
I sure do, Ken. Thank you so much. Jim Lang called. Love Jim Lang. He is a speed racer, and what a great story that he had to tell. So hi, Jim. It's nice that you called in. I'd like to thank Jill Craik. Thank you so much, Jill, for supporting WEIU and Effingham. This is your story. I'd also like to thank Leon Winty, I think is his name. So thank you so much, Leon. He's from Shumway, so we got Shumway and Effingham callers calling in tonight. Where are you at tonight? We'd really like you to be the next caller, and we could thank you on the air as well. Brian Marksman's on the phone right now, and we love Brian, and he is a hoot, but he didn't think he was going to get a call. So whoever's talking to Brian right now, thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to throw it back over to Lori.
All right, this was such a fun project for us to do because normally a TV station comes into town and they do all the work. Well, we were kind of looking, well, maybe not a way to get out of doing work, but we wanted the people of Effingham to say, these are the stories that are important to us, and we came up with, we had 30 different stories. We got actually 2 out of Delane Donaldson and 2 out of Mary Ellen Eversman. But these are stories, honestly, that we wouldn't have known about. I wouldn't have known about your church or about the Dane letters or Nurse Shirley Clements. So what a great way to talk about Effingham by having the people who live there. And Maxine, you've lived there your whole life, right? Almost your whole life. For a while. So it's a great way for people who might be new to the community, who don't know a lot about Effingham, or who have lived here for a long time and are learning still new things. So we hope you're enjoying the program. Give us a call tonight. We would love to hear from you. We're going to send it back over to Keanne.
Well, I'm standing right here next to a few of our storytellers. This is Brian Marksman right here on the phone. His story is coming up in just a little bit. We have Paul Simple here from the Effingham Daily News, and we have another friend of ours here. This is Amy, and she's joining us on the phones this evening as well. We want to thank all of you for keeping our phones busy this evening. This is a great celebration of the town of Effingham because of the stories that are being told tonight, and you're calling in saying, hey, I want a copy of that. I want to give that to somebody. I want to say thank you for telling those stories. And you know what? We're having so much fun knowing that so many people have said thank you so much for telling those great stories. So I'm going to send it right back over to Jana.
Thank you, Keanne. The phones are so busy right now. Let's see. We got one that's not being used. So would somebody please call right now and get Amy busy? She would love to take your phone call. Brian, who didn't think he was going to get a phone call, already has one. So thank you for calling, Brian. Somebody else just called anonymously, and we'd like to thank that person that called. So thank you so much. Tonight, we thought if we could get 100 people to call and support this program, we would be thrilled. And we are up to probably around 16 now, so we're edging our goal. We're going to get up to 25, so it'd be great to get up to that goal right now. And so we just really are excited to be here. Effingham to us is a great town, and I know that if you live there and you're watching tonight, I bet you're as excited as we are. So I'm going to send it back over to you. What do you got to say?
I want to let you know that not only can you watch it in our broadcast viewing area tonight, but if you have friends and family around the world, have them tune in to WEIU.net. You can have them call in because I know they're going to enjoy these stories from the Effingham residents. All of the storytellers have become videographers and photographers for this program. We didn't go out and shoot these stories. They did it themselves. The stories are coming straight from them. Personal stories, emotional stories, funny stories, and some fast-moving stories in just a little bit. So if you enjoy these shows, if you want to be a part of this, if you want a copy of this for yourself, call the number at the bottom of your screen right now. You can log on at WEIU.net, not only to watch the show, but also to contribute and get a copy of the DVD yourself. So we want to celebrate this tonight. Converse with us via Twitter, #OurStoryEffingham, and we want you to continue calling in. The phones are busy right now. This is wonderful. We're really celebrating Effingham tonight. It's such a happy experience, and I'm going to throw it right back over to Jana right now.
Yeah, we're back with me. I'd like to say thank you. And right now, all our phones are busy, which is real exciting. We're going to send it over to Lori, though, right now. So, Lori, there you go.
Who's watching the phones, huh? Well, coming up in this next section, we're going to learn about where the name Effingham comes from. Some people know it, some people don't. So you're going to have to stay tuned. Delane Donaldson is going to be telling that story again. We've got a great story from one of our younger storytellers, Tyson Reed, is going to be talking about Harley Davidson in the community. So lots of great stuff still to come. This is a great program that's been put together and put on by the people of Effingham, and we were so pleased to be able to work with them. Great group of people. I actually got to interview all of them, so it was great fun for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope you're enjoying the program too. Send it back over to the ladies at the phone operator, or at the.
We're having so much fun. We're having so much fun.
Hey,
Ken, I'm going to give you those.
This is Jenny Rice, I believe, and Peggy Peters. So thank you so much, Jenny and Peggy, for calling in tonight. You're really going to love having a copy of the DVD.
I'm just so happy that Effingham people are watching this program tonight in the Effingham area, and you're calling. That just is great. So I want to be sure we thank Billy Koppel. Thank you, Billy. Dan
Wormhout. He was one of our storytellers.
Yes, Eddie Kepley. Thank you, Dan.
That story is coming up. She was the first lady lawyer.
That's
from
right.
Effingham.
That's
wow, what a wonderful story.
Oh my gosh, it's a great story. We'd like to thank Gwen Boone as well. She's from Edgewood, so Edgewood's calling. That's perfect.
That's great.
We just cannot thank you enough for supporting this great program. We love Effingham. I've said many times, I'd like to move there. That's such a great town. We've met the greatest people.
Yeah, we really have. We met a lot of people. We've made a lot of trips to Effingham. But you know what? What we want to say is thank you. You have great shopping. You have great restaurants. You have great people. And all of the people are coming together once again tonight to celebrate Effingham. They are supporting one another just as they always have through their festivals, through their events, through their services that they provide, like the Veterans Memorial. That was a community service. Lots of different things. The Effingham is so wonderful. You just support one another, and you know what? It's such a heartwarming town.
It is.
It is really nice to be a part of that tonight.
It is, Ken. I get goosebumps talking about it. Well, the moment we walked into Effingham and got to meet some of the people, we were just blown away by how welcoming Effingham people are. And it shows tonight. They care. You know, right now they're calling so they can give to the station that brought them this great program. And in return, we're going to send you a copy of the program you're watching tonight, and you can hand it down to your children. So you'll have a record of people that, 20 years from now may not be alive to tell those stories. So it's exciting to know that people really believe in what we're doing as a station, and we can give it back to you.
That's right. And WEIU is Effingham's public broadcasting station, and it's because of people supporting these types of efforts that we are able to work with the people of Effingham, ask them to tell those personal stories, and have you enjoy those different types of stories that they are telling, either through the history, different things that are happening today, things that you are celebrating together, things that you have done together that you are learning about here on WEIU tonight. And we want to say thank you for doing that.
We really, really appreciate it. When we talk about the storytellers, when they came in to be interviewed and they were talking about their stories, many of them had never been on television before, and they were a little nervous. But you know what? Every single one of them, their finished story is amazing, and every one of them looked great on television.
That's right. There was a lot of people that came in. We interviewed at Stang Arts. So when we interviewed, you're seeing them tell a little bit about their story, but the actual video and the photos, they were given
They did it
to
themselves.
us from the storytellers. But when we interviewed a few of the people, they were so nervous. But you know what? They were some of the best stories.
They were.
And they really calmed down in front of the camera. So thank you so much for getting past the nerves and different things like that, because we have a little nerves here tonight too. But you know what? We're really getting excited because the phones continue to ring, and we want to say thank you so much for supporting your own town and your own people.
Well, and we'd like to thank you next. If you would like to call and support this program, we would love to hear from you now. We've got Brian, needs somebody to call him. Brian Marksman, he's coming up in the near future. He did a story on fireworks in Effingham, and what a great story. He did a good job.
And you know what? Brian brought his wife and his kids tonight because he wanted them to see what it was like. There he is right there. He's waiting to answer your call. Give us a wave, Brian. And so he brought his kids here tonight to say, hey, this is what can happen. You want to be a part of something great like this? And so he's bringing it down through his children as well.
That's great. Great family. And we have a little bit of everybody here tonight. And speaking of that, Lori's got some people she'd like to talk to.
I have got 3 of the storytellers, 3 of the 30. I've got Linda Ruhal, Maxine Dane, and Glenn Bauer. We're going to be talking to you in this next segment. Maxine we had a phone conversation when we started the project, and she had some questions, and we talked about it. And I was actually the one that got to interview these people, but I really didn't interview them. You guys all knew your history and your stories so well. Linda, I think I just asked you one question, and you just rattled it off. How much research did you do on Shirley Clements for
Hours and hours of research.
And so where did you find that research at? What sort of resources did you go to?
I went to talk to her daughter and interviewed her and used some of the resources that she gave me that she allowed me to copy. I also used some histories that had been published about the hospital to sort of give me direction. I got a copy of her death certificate, of Shirley's death certificate, and looked at that to verify what people had told me, because I didn't want to say something about cause of death that wasn't accurate. I went to some archival sources through the Hospital Sisters of St. Francis, so just a lot of different sources in different places. Some of it I could do online, which is great.
Very sad but very compelling story, and that's coming up in this next segment. And speaking of historical segments, wait till you hear Glenn Bauer's story. He rattles off the dates of the history of their church so well that I don't know how you remember that, but you did a great job. And his story is coming up a little bit later in this show, but we're going to send it back over to the other side of the studio.
Well, aren't those some great stories in our living room right here in the WEIU studio? We're having a great time celebrating Effingham tonight. I hear some of the people behind me answering the phones, and Brian Marchman, we've mentioned him a couple of times, but he's back here saying, hey brother, how much you want to donate? Do you want a DVD? And he also said, yeah, you were on the program, you were one of the Rotarians. So you know what? We've got people calling in that know the people here tonight that are saying thank you so much, and this is him right back here. He's talking to one of the Rotarians right now. See, he's saying, hey, we know who you are out there. So we've got Paul Semple, Jerry Jansen. Thank you so much for calling in tonight. And this is Paul Semple. I believe a lot of you know him because he works for the Effingham Daily News. And you know what? We want to say thank you, Paul, because you guys have been really great to promote this program, help get the word out, and recruit storytellers. So you guys have done a wonderful job. And Brian Bloom and Kathy Griffith, we've worked with them as well. They're some of your colleagues. So Effingham Media has been wonderful in celebrating This Is Our Town, or This Is Your Story. I was getting tripped up here a minute. Effingham, This Is Our Story, because we're getting so excited tonight. But thank you so much for calling in. Effingham Media has been wonderful. We'd also like to say thank you to Cromwell and also to Premier. You've been promoting the program. You helped us recruit storytellers. And now we're going to send it right back over to Jana.
Thank you, Kian. Quickly, I want to say a couple thank yous. Marcy Burford, I bet you she's related to one of our storytellers. Alan Westendoff, I hope that's right. Thank you, Alan, so much. Kelly McDexit, I hope that's right. Thank you so very much. Jennifer and Marvin Shaw, thank you. Shaw's from Effingham. And Ruth DeBall, I think that's right. Thank you so much. Larry Maxon, thank you so much. And Dan Rodell and Matt Kikander.
Kikander, it looks like Kikander.
Kikander?
If we're saying these names wrong, we want to apologize for that, but we really want to say thank you so much for calling in, because that's what's really important, is that you are supporting Effingham. This is our story. You're supporting the people here. You're supporting the people watching in Effingham tonight. And without further delay, we want to get you back to the program.
I know, there's a lot more to come.
There is. There's a lot more to come. And one of the next shows that we're going to be, or one of the next stories is Mid-America Motor Works.
The Truck Trail.
The Truck Trail, Hodebecke Millinery Store. Lots to come, so stay tuned.